What's up, everybody, and welcome into the H&M Trucking podcast. I am your host, Marcus. Thank you so much for joining us today. Today's episode is going to focus on severe weather and wildfires. Well, severe weather makes sense, but why wildfires? Well, simple. Canada's on fire, and it won't be long before the West Coast is on fire. So, they say that nobody will ever attack the United States because there's a gun behind every blade of grass and that whole thing. Have we ever thought about the fact that most of the year we are encased in fire? Like Canada's always on fire, California's always on fire, and Mexico's got whatever Mexico has going on. A good way to protect yourself would just be to dance within the walls of a 40-high-foot flame ring. Nobody's coming in. But I digress. Another thing that's safe to say right now, let's hit the music.
From Omaha, Nebraska, to whatever lane you're driving, this is the H&M Trucking Podcast with your host, Marcus Bridges.
So we've been bringing you these freight updates every single week, and Tim from JFL has been helping out huge with these things. So without further ado, let's press the button. I know that's supposed to be breaking news, but something about that sound just makes me want to dance. Today with your freight market update, it looks like freight volumes are currently being impacted by everything from price inflation and the driver shortage to how well the supply chain has snapped back since the height of the pandemic. Truckload freight volumes dropped in February, and load-to-truck ratios, which indicate demand for truckload services on the spot market, hit their lowest points since May of 2020. Now, I'm getting this information from HDT Trucking Info. The upshot here is that pricing environment for truckload services has weakened further, with the national average spot van and refrigerated rates dropping to levels not seen since September 2020. That's a little bit scary, I will admit that. Economist Chris Brady, who is a principal of the commercial motor vehicle consulting firm, explains that spot rates are weak because total freight has slowed substantially. They're running below contract rates right now, and as a result, he sees economic growth, quote, likely remaining sluggish at best during the second half of the year as the economy continues to adjust to higher interest rates. Now, something else that this article points out is that there are three factors currently affecting freight rates: capacity and the choices of how to move freight. Those three things are, one, inflation remaining stubbornly high, and that's in quotes. Two, diesel prices that remain close to the pre-2022 record price set in 2008. And finally, the Fed keeps raising interest rates. The latest dramatic increase was 0.75%. This suggests that there will be a recession to some degree in 2023. One thing in my travels that I do kind of hear economists and trucking industry experts disagree on is that this recession that they keep talking about seeing in 2023 isn't the same outlook that the trucking industry experts have for the freight market. They're looking still at August. It's still what I'm seeing. Hang in there. I promise things are going to get better. Joining us for our driver profile today on the H&M Trucking Podcast is Arie Visser. Arie, thank you for being here. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm good, thanks, and yourself?
I can't wait to have this conversation with you. I'm always happy to be here podcasting, man. It's a fun gig that I have. I get to learn so much about the industry, and I get to talk to drivers like yourself almost every day of my life. So I'm having a good day here. Where are you at, and where are you headed today?
I am in Denver, Colorado. I'm waiting for a trailer to get fixed, and they called this morning. They said it will be fixed this afternoon, so hopefully we can get it picked up this afternoon and get going again.
Oh, great! And where will it take you when you get it fixed and get back on the road?
I do not know. They haven't told me. It gave me a dispatch yet. They probably want to know when the trailer will be ready. So
gotcha.
After that, we'll get on.
Gotcha. Okay. Now, something else I'm trying to remember to offer the drivers that come on here a chance to do is to share their CB handle and their truck number if they would like to. so that other drivers can find you out there when they hear you on the podcast.
Okay, well, I don't have a CV handle. My truck number is 2412. Yeah, I don't have a CV. I've got a CV, but I don't have a handle yet.
Okay, all right. That's something I understand has to kind of be bestowed upon you by somebody else, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So if anybody out there want to give me something, I'll work on it.
Okay, perfect. Well, maybe we'll see if we can come up with one after the conversation today. I never know where these things are going to go, so we might come up with something today. You never know. How long have you been driving?
Well, first of all, what I want to say is I'm a South African. I grew up in South Africa. So I've been driving there probably 15 years.
Okay.
And since 2010, I've been driving in America.
Okay, and what brought you over stateside?
Well, I started working on the harvest run from Texas to the Canadian border and back again. I did that for about 8-9 years. And then I got an opportunity to get a green card through a trucking company. Yeah, I had to wait in line for about 2 years. I stayed 1 year in South Africa. The other year, I still did a silage harvest run. And, I got my interview 2019, November 2019, I arrived on my green card.
Okay. And so, is it everything that it's cracked up to be? Did you, I don't want to ask, did your dreams come true, but did things happen the way that you thought they would happen when you came over on your green card, started working here?
Yes, everything worked out very good. It's been a lifelong dream of mine since I was probably 5 or 8 years old. I used to watch the movies, Smokey and the Bandit and Convoy, and that made me, I wanted to be a truck driver, American truck driver since then. So, that brought me 30 years later, and I was here and living my dream. So, it's been a dream, and I'm real happy where I'm at right now.
That's awesome. So those movies, as far as from the perspective of somebody that didn't grow up here in the States, those movies have a pretty big cultural impact, and they really do kind of paint the culture in a certain way when you're watching them from a different country, I assume, yeah?
Yeah, no, definitely. You think it's a movie, so they're gonna Hollywood it up all the time, but when you can really get out here, it's kind of a different story. But it's good. I haven't had really too many issues with it. I adapted pretty quick.
That's awesome. I love to hear that, and I'm glad that you brought that up, because I recognized that you had an accent, and I was going to get there and ask you, where you came from and everything, and what brought you over. So I love hearing origin stories about drivers and what got them started, because they're endlessly interesting to me. We're talking about on this episode today about severe weather and wildfires that can happen while you're out there on the road. And Eve sent me your information because she said you had a really good story to tell about something similar. Now, I understand you weren't exactly caught in severe weather or a wildfire, but you did have some issues with very low visibility at one point in time. Can you tell me about what happened to you and how you were able to navigate through that?
Well, I can tell you what happened. I still don't know how I got through it. Well, it was in Texas somewhere. I don't remember exactly where. It was like a road that goes around town through industrial area. And if I'm correct, the speed limit was about 55, and I was doing about that. And there was a ready mixed concrete plant on the right-hand side of the road, and I approached it, and there was a dust cloud. And my thinking at the moment was, well, probably a rock truck or a ready-mix truck came out of the drive and got on the road and made a big dust cloud. Well, I slowed down a little bit, and I went into the dust cloud just to find out that was one of those road sweep machines cleaning the road.
Oh, wow.
That made a dust cloud. So that thing was probably going 2-3 miles an hour, maybe 5. and I was doing, say, 45, 50 mile an hour, and I just yanked the steering wheel to the right, and when I got around it, there was a white van right in front of me, and I yanked it back to the right, and I will promise you, I don't know how I got around those two vehicles without hitting anything. I wish I can see the dash cam footage. Safety was looking for it and wanted to show me, but they couldn't find it. So I would really like to see that footage, because I do not know how I made it.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think sometimes you got to attribute a couple things that happen out there on the road to pure luck, and that sounds like maybe you had a lucky day that day, that there wasn't an accident or something worse.
Yeah, no, it must have been luck or something else. I don't know. Part of it probably driving skills, but I wouldn't contribute all that to driving skills.
Well, I think you got to pat yourself on the back a little bit. You made it out of there, and obviously some of it is skill. We won't sit here and split hairs about how much of it, all right? Not on this podcast. We're just going to give you the credit and say, nice job, because visibility is something that, not necessarily always with severe weather. Obviously, you get really heavy rains or really bad snow. Visibility can be an issue, but kind of the topic of at hand right now is these wildfires going on up in Canada are really blanketing the East Coast with a lot of wildfire smoke. And you don't realize how low the visibility really is in that environment until you're out there in it. And things can creep up on you. There's still trucks and cars, four-wheelers out there that drive around without their lights on in those kind of conditions, and they go way too fast. And so it's good that you have that experience under your belt now, because you know what it feels like when all of a sudden something appears right in front of you that wasn't there a couple seconds ago.
Yeah. I want to tell you a little story about what happened in South Africa. We hauled a lot of coal with trucks from the coal plants to the power plants, and one day there was a brush fire next to the road, and the one truck went in, and then he panicked and he stopped right in the smoke.
Oh, no.
And another truck came in barreling behind him, and that was a big wreck. The front truck chassis twisted, and the transmission and everything fell out of the truck. The back truck that ran into the front truck, the fifth wheel broke off, and the trailer slammed into the cab of the truck. And these was all cab over trucks. Mm-hmm. So that was also a real bad accident, and you just have to be real careful. If you don't think you're going to make it through the brush fire, just stop in front of it.
Right.
Don't try and run into anything.
Yeah, you don't want to get into it. That's very true. I've in talking to some drivers, it's even if you feel like you might have to slow down and just take it a little bit slower to get through there, stopping is like the very last thing you want to do because of exactly what you described there. And in an old cab over, man, you're riding right out on the nose of that thing. You're really in trouble if you hit something going that fast.
Yeah, if you think you're gonna have to stop before the fire or the smoke, and not in the smoke. Just get out of it as quick as possible. And
sage advice here from Arie, and he's been through it, so definitely listen to him. I got a question for you about your CB. Do you guys get weather updates and like wildfire updates that come over the CB radio on a certain channel or anything like that when you're out on the road?
There is a weather channel on my CB, but I use an app called My Radar, and that will show all kinds of clouds and fires and even earthquakes and stuff like that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I use that for most of my weather info.
Have you ever been caught in any kind of severe weather or had to drive through some pretty hairy conditions?
Yeah, no, ice and snow we're always going to get. I've been in that this winter, actually. It was actually at the end of winter, and I was going to California through Wyoming. It wasn't snowing, but it was so windy that the snow, the drifts, the snow blowing across the road made it so hazardous that some spots we couldn't see anything. And there was a bunch of us driving like together, and we just use the radio and help each other out, and that's really a very big thing. If you don't have a CB, get one, because drivers tend to help each other out on the road in conditions like that.
And it's a cool community that forms there with the drivers. They do want to help each other out, and it seems like the CB also maybe gives them something to do while you're bored. You know, if you just want to pull up and have a conversation with somebody, there's a whole litany of people out on the other end of that radio that you could talk to.
Yeah, no, definitely. There's and then share traffic information is very important, very, very important.
What's your favorite part about being a truck driver, Arie?
I would say being out on the road alone and enjoying the scenery and the roads. And well, the roads are getting pretty bad some places, but just a solitude. Being alone out there and not having anybody look over your shoulder the whole day, and I think that is a big plus for me. I'm not much of a social kind of guy, so I keep to myself, listen to my music and podcasts and audiobooks and stuff like that. So just being alone there, out there and on my own, that's a big plus for me.
You know, you and I might be kindred spirits in that. I was playing golf this weekend with one of my buddies, and he asked me, you know, when do you get your golf in? And I said, you know, in the evenings I'll just go out, you know, before dark, and I'll play by myself. And he could not believe that I wanted to play golf by myself. It just did not make sense to him. And I said, man, you have no idea what it's like to come out here and spend 3 hours by yourself. Nobody talks to you. You just you and your thoughts and nature. I really think that there's something to that. I really enjoy that time by myself. Not that I don't like taking friends with me, but I think there's something to be said for the clear-headedness that comes from solitude.
Yeah, no, definitely. You think much more clear, and without outside influence on your mind, you think much more clear, and you can work out basically any problem you have when you're alone most of the time. And if you need help, there's always help to sort out something or issues you have. So yeah, that's a big thing, being alone with your thoughts, and out in nature is good, yeah.
Yeah, right. Just clearing the cobwebs out. I can't clear the cobwebs out if somebody's constantly talking to me. I talk enough to myself in my own head. It's too hard to hear them, you know?
Yeah, definitely. I always say I like intelligent conversation. That's why I talk to myself.
That's great. There you go. Well, what's the craziest thing you've seen out on the road since you started? This doesn't have to be weather related or anything else like that, but what's something that surprised you that you've seen out on the road since you got here to the States and started driving?
Oh, I don't know. There's so many things. The beauty. I once took a load. I was on a dry van job. And I took a load, I don't know from where, and I went around the back, the west side of Yellowstone National Park, and that was so beautiful out there, the river and all that kind of stuff. It was amazing. Just the sceneries. There's so many different places and things you see. It's just so beautiful. Look, South Africa is beautiful too. I mean, it's a beautiful country, but just to see it, basically the same thing, but on a different continent, is amazing. I mean, I've been pretty much I've done a lot of traveling, Dubai and Abu Dhabi and stuff, places like that. But yeah, the scenery out there is amazing for me. I like to sometimes just reroute myself to a different off the interstate road. I like doing that, and get some different scenery in.
That's great. I mean, and you're out there, you're sitting in Denver, Colorado right now too, so you're in a beautiful place, just waiting for your trailer to get fixed. Have you found anything out there to do to kill the time while you're waiting?
Oh no, I just do some research and stuff like that. I don't really go and see places. I should have done that probably, but I got a lot of research done on investment opportunities and stuff. Of course, my plan is to retire in between 5 and 10 years from now. So
Okay.
I'm doing a lot of research to get a passive income going and get myself out of the truck. And I'm still going to travel. My plan is to buy an RV and just travel the country when I retire.
Okay. Great. Well, I'm going to tell you this because you're on the H&M Trucking podcast right now, but before we became the H&M Trucking podcast, we actually had a gentleman on named Carl Lee who wrote a book called The Financial Planner for Truckers. And for yourself or anybody that wants to listen to that episode, that was episode 14 of Unplugged OTR. You can find that right in the H&M Trucking podcast feed. Carl was great, and he was doing exactly what you are saying he was doing, or you were doing. He was spending his free time researching financial opportunities and trying to figure out a good way to have a passive income while he's also out on the road making money. It was a great episode. I highly recommend it. Once again, that's going to be episode 14 of Unplugged OTR. I believe the episode is called The Best Lane to Six Figures. So go check that out. It's so cool to know that you're dedicated to that. I know a lot of drivers, by the time they get done with a full day of driving, research is not high on the priority list. They're looking to relax and take the edge off, maybe, or just de-stress. But does that help you kind of calm down and get into a good state of mind when you're doing research? Do you like that kind of thing, Arie?
Yeah, no, definitely. That puts me in a great state of mind. It kind of soothes the soul to know that there is ways to get a passive income and make yourself more financially independent. And there is ways, and you have to really research it. It's kind of difficult in this day and age. There's a lot of people out there with all kinds of schemes to make you rich, but you have to kind of navigate through that and get to the real things. And I like that. That calms me down and it relaxes me, and I get to a better place that way. Good. Well, and it's very good advice too. You got to watch out. There's a lot of snake oil salesmen out there that are just trying to take your money and not trying to help you at all. But I'm glad that you're on the watch for those guys, because it seems like there's more and more of them every single day. Oh yeah, definitely. Get rich quick schemes. Yep. Mine is just gambling. I've said it before on this podcast. That's I don't feel like that's a scheme. I know it's not going to work, so I just keep doing it. And it's I not the most financially literate person out there. So I'm glad that you're in my Rolodex now, Arie, because I might have to give you a call and see what type of stuff you're learning. Okay, that's no problem. I'll be happy to help. Awesome. Well, it's Arie Visser, everyone. Thank you so much for being here today. I hope the trailer gets fixed up quick and you can get back on the road and get back to a normal routine. We will definitely have you back on the podcast again sometime in the future. I'll be in touch. Thank you once again for being here. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. Have a good day. You too, Arie. Thanks. Bye. Joining us now on the H&M Trucking podcast, you know her as the HR manager. I know her as Eve Essary. Thank you so much for joining me today, Eve.
Hi, Marcus.
It's been about a month, and of course, we like to get you on once a month. We missed last month's by a week. I was not going to let that happen, so we are back on schedule, and I'm so excited to have you here because last week on the episode, on our Father's Day special, we talked to your daughter, Faith Adams. And have you guys ever thought about starting a podcast, just the two of you, to maybe talk about how many brothers and sisters she has, or your loaded schedule with extracurriculars? Because you're always fantastic, and I had these high hopes for her, and she totally blew me away with how comfortable and fun she was on the podcast.
You know, we used to always say that we should actually have our own reality TV show because the shenanigans that happen at our house or anytime our family is together is just ridiculous. Like just the things that happen when you have that many people and that many personalities all together it can get a little crazy. Holidays are very crazy, and everybody is very outgoing and vocal and all of that too. So I'm sure I had no doubt that she was going to do great.
Well, if you're listening to this right now and you haven't heard that episode, make sure and check out last week's episode, our Father's Day special here on the H&M Trucking Podcast. We had a great time and talked to some dads and some daughters, which I think was right on point. And I also told Faith, if I keep clicking through members of your family here, Eve, pretty soon you're going to need to Photoshop me into a family picture, okay? So I can just be an honorary member of the family.
Absolutely. There's a picture of my family hanging up in the office, so we're just going to stick your head over in the corner on the edge, though.
That's fine.
Okay.
That's fine. I don't deserve the middle yet. I'll get there. You give me 10 or so years, I might deserve the middle. But right now, I'm totally cool on the edge.
10 or so years, and that's where my grandkids are going.
Okay, gotcha. So I'm just going to keep getting pushed further out, but that means we'll just keep backing the camera up. I'll have a place.
Okay.
You just got to get the camera further away. That works. So do you have any birthdays, anniversaries, new members, milestones, announcements for us this week?
So, of course, we always do the birthdays and the anniversaries on our Facebook page. So anybody that's having a birthday anniversary, make sure you check that out. We do a shout out. We usually do it kind of at the beginning of the week for everybody throughout the week. So, but we have several that are hitting their 1 year this month. So I always, we talk a lot about those that, are hitting like 15, 20 years and so on. But that first year is really important. That's the foundation. So I just wanted to give a quick shout out to those this month that are hitting 1 year. So, and we have a whole slew of them. So we have Michael Hall, David Ulrich, Andy Castleman, Sean Weekly, and Vincent Campos, all are hitting 1 year this month. So we appreciate them. And I know it's only been 1 year, but we're 1 year and still going. So that's important.
Heck yeah. That deserves a party horn, I think. Great job. And tell me, Eve, with your experience in the trucking industry, I know that there can be a lot of turnover with drivers. Is that first year more ripe for turnover, or is there more turnover after they get past that 1 year mark?
Absolutely. That first year is imperative. So we definitely have a lot more turnover within that first year. And honestly, within the first 3 months, like if we can keep them those first 3 months, we can usually get to 6 months. And if we can keep them past 6 months, we can get to a year. So that's kind of how we look at it. So it's that foundation is super important. That's when they learn about H&M. And that's when you decide if this is the company that you want to work for, Mm-hmm. So on that same kind of note, where we're talking about these that have the 1 year, we also have 3 drivers this quarter that have hit 1 million miles. So I just kind of want to celebrate them a little bit too. So the owner operator, Cedric Brantley, we have Travis Motley and Richard Nadovny that all have hit 1 million miles with H&M this quarter. So thank you to them and all those miles.
Cedric, Travis, and
Richard.
I'm not leaving you out of the party. There's no way. 1 million miles is unbelievable. Just in the very small amount of 3 years worth of like being a traveling salesman that I was, my biggest month was 6,300 miles. And I used to think before I started working within the trucking industry that was a lot. Now I realize that that's like a solid week and a half, maybe 2 weeks for them out there. So it helps me understand that I don't quite understand, but 1 million miles is nothing to balk at. What an amazing achievement. And if I'm not mistaken, this is 1 million safe miles, correct?
Right. And then they also, when they come in, next time we see those guys, they're going to get a sticker for the side of their truck. It'll say Million Mile Club. It's kind of a cool little decal that we put on there to recognize them. And then there's also a gift that we have for them here. So they'll get a little appreciation from H&M and a little love here. So.
And we're not going to spoil what that is on this podcast. You got to go in and see Eve to figure it out. But hey, 1 million miles and the bragging rights that come with that sticker, like you gotta step out of your truck at the fuel island with a little bit of a puffed out chest once you have the 1 million miles sticker, I think, right?
Yeah. Marcus, when you were here, did you go up into the driver's lounge and see that big board? There's the 2 recliners that are sitting there facing the TV, and on the left-hand side, there's a big board. It kind of lights up in the back. So that's the 1 million mile board. They also get their name up on that board. There's a little plaque that goes in there. The plaques, we always order them once a year. So in September, we will get those plaques in. So their name is going to go up on that board as well.
Hell yes. Congratulations. What an achievement. And I say I'll tip my custom H&M hat to them. Here's to another 1 million safe miles on top of your first 1 million. When I was out there in the Midwest, I was fortunate enough to speak with a driver out in Iowa who had 4 million safe miles under his belt,
Yeah.
Eve. And I mean, what do you like? How do you even fathom that 4 million miles? And the dedication that these drivers have to their craft is astounding, really, to say the least. So,
For sure.
nothing but props coming from the H&M Trucking podcast for you, safe drivers out there all over the place, whether you've got 1 million miles under your belt or not.
Absolutely.
Moving on, we're talking about severe weather today on the podcast, and wildfires as well, because Canada caught on fire and smoked out New York for like a full week until it rained over there. And I hear even to kind of the northeast of you guys up in like the Michigan, Minnesota area, they're having some air quality issues.
Yeah.
It's getting wild out there. It's really nice over here in the Pacific Northwest, but that's just because it hasn't caught on fire yet. So let's remember that happens every single year. We manage our forests so well, you know. But I wanted to ask you, because I've just as a four-wheeler, obviously, you know, if you travel around at all, especially if you live where I live or where you live, you're going to run into some severe weather, whether you're out recreating, whether you're just trying to get to work. I do have a story that I'll share with you, but I wanted to hear if Eve had ever been caught in some hairy weather.
So, you know, my husband's a driver. So I've actually been caught in some hairy weather in a truck.
Perfect.
Not even just as a four-wheeler. I mean, yes, there's that. And yes, you know, there's been some cases, especially with snow and the rain and stuff around here. But I was actually with my husband, and we were driving across from Pender, Nebraska. He was driving and pulling a cattle pod at that point, and coming across to Sioux City. And just kind of this little bit of a freak storm. It was just like this squall that just kind of popped up out of nowhere. And the wind was so powerful. We're driving and the cattle pod is empty. So there's no weight in the back. And the wind comes up and pushes it. And we could literally feel the truck tip as we're in it. And I literally at that point thought, this is it. We're going over. But he held it, he straightened it out. We pull over. And then we just sat and waited for it to go out. It wasn't very long. It wasn't a very big storm. It kind of moved fast, but just like that wind just hitting the side of the truck with it empty, it was pretty darn scary. So I have utmost respect for all of those drivers out there that are driving those trucks across those windy states, because the wind is it is one of the most detrimental things that you just don't think about.
Yep, exactly. You never think about it. And how can you? Because, you know, you kind of think out of sight, out of mind. Well, the wind is always out of sight. You're never going to see it coming until it hits you. And I'm sure I probably would have gotten chewed out for letting the truck tip when the wind blew. But I'm assuming that you gave your husband all the props in the world for keeping that thing on its four wheels rather than on its side. Yeah.
You know, I think my reaction may have not been the best at that particular moment. But looking back at it, yes, giving him the props for that. At the moment, I was like, what are you doing? Yeah, it's my fault. I know. But, you know, that first scared reaction is really not the best. So,
your first reaction is always, why are you stunt driving with your wife in the car? It's like, hey, I promise.
Yes.
I didn't try to do that.
Right, exactly.
If I knew I could get it up on two wheels and save it, I probably would have done that in my off time just for fun. So,
yes.
But that's awesome. And it speaks to what we've talked about a little bit on the episode already, is that with all weather, like you said, it's just a squall. All of a sudden it pops up. Like, you might not see it on your radar. You might not hear about it over the radio. And it's just more of a reason to stay vigilant out there and always have your head on a swivel, because especially in the Midwest where things are so flat, you don't know where to expect it. It might just show up.
Absolutely. Yes.
Well, thank you for sharing that. For me, wasn't quite as crazy as that, but it scared me a lot. I think I was only like 18 or 19 when it happened. And I was driving over a pass here in Oregon called Tollgate. Cabbage Hill is one that you hear truckers mention all the time is a really bad weather area here in Oregon. It's on Interstate 84. It's very steep up and down. It freezes on the top a lot, so it's pretty hairy. But Tollgate, in my opinion, is much worse because of the amount of snow that it gets. And in this instance, I was driving, and all of a sudden, I couldn't really see the edges of the road where they had plowed the snow up, and there was probably, 10-foot high snow walls where they had pushed snow out of the way. And they've got those big, tall reflectors. Those were covered up. And I realize I can't quite see the side of the road because the snow's coming in so heavy. And so I start to slow down. And within, I would say, less than a minute, Eve, I was looking out all the windows and all the mirrors of my car, and I could not see the road. I couldn't see the sides of the road. I couldn't see anything in front or behind me. And I was effectively, what I learned, they call that snow blind. And it can happen to you in a car. It can happen to you when you're just standing on the side of the mountain. There's so much snow falling that you completely lose your orientation and you have no idea where you're really at within your environment. I made a decision that I would not recommend making at all, which is I pulled to what I thought was the side of the highway that I was on, and I turned on my flashers, and I just kind of waited for the snow to settle. And when the snow settled, Eve, I was parked across both lanes sideways in the middle of the highway.
Oh, no.
I mean, it didn't matter if somebody was going north, south, east, or west. They would have hit me if somebody had come. I was just fortunate enough that nobody did. We talked to Arie Visser earlier in this episode, who, by the way, that was a great interview that you suggested. And he told us a story about a truck driver that drove into like a sandstorm and just stopped because he couldn't see. And it was basically like a life or death save for Arie that he made getting around that truck. I believe that happened to him when he was in South Africa, if I'm not mistaken. But visibility is just, once it goes away, it's so scary. There's just no way to compete with that. And
yeah.
I'll tell you, I wouldn't stop again, but I don't have anything to tell you as far as what you should do, because I mean, if I'd have kept driving, I'd have probably just driven off the road. So it's 6 one way, half dozen the other. You're screwed both ways. But please, don't think of it that way. Just be vigilant, know the weather, don't get involved in situations like that to begin with, and you won't have to worry about being me and my little Ford Focus parked across the middle of the highway. It was bright yellow, so I guess maybe somebody might have seen it. I don't know if that reflects more light, but scary stuff.
You know what my mom advice would be for you, Marcus?
What's that?
Would be if you would have stayed home in the first place and you knew that there was that much snow, then you could have avoided the entire thing.
It's true. It's very true. Would you believe me if I told you I was taking myself to an orthodontist appointment?
That is important stuff.
It is. It is. Look at his smile.
I don't think it's life or death. Yeah. Not life or death here.
If that hadn't worked out well, Eve, I'd be smiling at you right now. I'd just look like a hockey player. I wouldn't have all these teeth in. So, but yeah, definitely learn from my mistakes, please. And that brings us to my absolute favorite segment that this podcast has. It's time to lay down the law with Eve. You always bring us something great, a lesson that drivers can learn from while also hearing what happened, hopefully to somebody else. What have you got for us today?
I actually want to talk today about our passenger policy. So we love riders in the truck, and we know that drivers love having riders in the truck. So one thing that has happened, a little story that I'll share with you, is that we had a driver, and he went through the paperwork and things of adding his wife to the passenger policy, which was great. She can ride with him because she's over the age of 10 years old, first qualification. So no problems there. Did the paperwork, got a copy of her ID, also one of the qualifications here. And then he got pulled over at a scale, and we got a call from an officer. And not only, though, did he have his wife in the truck, but also had their 3 kids and 2 dogs.
Uh-oh.
All in the truck. The kids were ages 5, 8, and 10. So even though one of them was of age of 10 years old that could be in there, you can only have 1 passenger in your truck at a time. That's all the insurance covers. So our passenger insurance is $19 a month, covers the passenger in your truck. We take it out in weekly installments. And so it's $4.39 a week. It's not going to break the bank, but it's going to cover the person riding next to you if anything happens, right? But it doesn't cover the wife, all the kids. You got to have 1 passenger. So that's really important. So when we found that out, we were like, okay, now what do we do? Because now we have a driver that's sitting at this scale and he has 4 extra people in his truck and he really can only have 1. How do we handle that? What do we do? Now we have to get these people home. We have to figure this out. So it just became a very complicated situation, especially with all these little kids riding in the truck. It's just not safe. There's no restraints or anything in the back. So we need somebody, the front seat has that seat belt buckled in and ready to go. So I want to talk a little bit about that, the passenger policy. One passenger over the age of 10, call us, get prior authorization. We need to have a driver's license, some kind of identification for that passenger so we know who they are and who's riding. So Brooke in our safety department, she's the one that handles the passenger policy things. So talk to her. She'll get you all set up, let you know. The other thing is no passenger can drive the truck. So we don't do a CDL training program or anything like that. So you can't bring the wife in and then, she's going to drive down the road while, you're in the back making some mac and cheese. We can't do that. You're the one that's driving. You're the one that's hired. You drive the truck. The passenger cannot. So I just want to also clear that up in case we've never had that issue, but just in case.
You got to say it.
Let's head it off.
Yeah, you got to say it.
Let's make sure. So that's kind of my soapbox for today. So there you go. Passengers. Love them.
Love them too. And, look, we don't ever want to talk about the worst possible thing that could happen. But if your insurance is only covering you and the wife and you've got the 3 kids back there, I would be willing to bet everything in my bank account that you would sell everything you owned to just make sure that those kids are covered and let the wife and you, be as they may. But it's important. That's why we do this, is to make sure that these little intricacies in the rules can be understood by everybody and nobody runs afoul of you.
Right, for sure.
Awesome. Well, Eve, as always, you blow every segment out of the water. I love having you on here. I wish I could have you on every single episode, but I know how quickly you tire of me. It's something I've known for my whole life about myself. I think once a month is perfect because we have these great segments, and then you get to forget about it for 3 weeks, and then I'll jump into your email inbox and we get to do it all over again. So I always appreciate your time. I know that everybody out there listening absolutely loves you and your segments here on the show. So thank you so much for taking time out of your day to join me.
For sure. It's always a good time, Marcus. I appreciate you giving me some time out of your day, and we will visit again in a few weeks.
Sounds good. That's Eve Essary, HR Manager for H&M Trucking. Moving right along here in our severe weather and wildfires episode, it only seemed right to bring you guys a little bit of a weather update. You're all over the country, so I'm going to provide you some regional updates from the National Weather Service. There are some advisories out there right now, actually quite a few. Let's move east to west. Of course, down in Florida, this is going to be the southern part of Florida. They're on a heat advisory. I've also got up in the kind of the southern or southeast portion of Georgia, as well as the northeast portion of Florida. They've got gale force winds warning, and they've got those in Louisiana and central Mississippi right now as well. We're on tornado watch in Alabama and the Florida Panhandle. We've got flood watch in central Alabama and central Georgia. Moving up to the Midwest here, it looks like eastern Iowa, northwestern Illinois. Did I just say Illinois? Wow, what a terrible person I am. Northwestern Illinois, southwestern Wisconsin, and southern Minnesota are all on air quality alert. That's due to Canada being on fire, like I mentioned in the intro. Down south in Texas, we've got heat advisories all over the place and excessive heat warnings in Corpus Christi, Victoria, and Laredo, Texas. You might expect that this time of the year. Moving on to northern and central New Mexico, we've got a red flag warning there. Red flag warning is going to be like heat and fires and all of the terrible things that can happen in southern New Mexico in the middle of the summer. And, of course, northern and central New Mexico also on a fire weather watch. Getting all the way over to Wyoming and western Nebraska is where we're going to see flood watch, which, this time of year with the thunderstorms that roll in the afternoon over there, yeah, flood watch pretty much just always guarantee that that's going to be a thing. And over in northern Nevada and northeastern Nevada, we're actually on a frost advisory. So out in the desert, it's wild. Things are all over the place. Pick a straw. It's probably going to happen. Fortunately, all up and down the West Coast, from the southern tip of California to the northern tip of Washington, we have no National Weather Service warnings. except for Northern California and Southern Oregon coastlines. You're going to have a gale warning coming off of the ocean. That's kind of always the case. So how's that for a weather update? If you're not driving in one of those areas, chances are your weather's looking pretty good right now. If you are driving in one of those areas, take me seriously and just check your surroundings. Make sure that everything's safe out there because, of course, safety's a priority on this, the H&M Trucking podcast. Let's get to the next interview. Joining me now on the H&M Trucking podcast is safety manager Dean Edmunds. Dean, thank you so much for being here today.
You bet. I'm glad to be here.
Well, we're always glad to have you, and I figure when we're talking about something as unpredictable and wild as severe weather and wildfires, better get the safety expert on to talk a little bit about how truckers can be prepared and make sure to not get caught out in bad weather scenarios. We definitely learned already in this episode that weather can come out of nowhere. So thought it would be a good idea to have you on here. Can you tell me, Dean, from a safety standpoint, how do you advise drivers approach inclement weather?
Best thing I can tell or I suggest to a driver is drive only within your comfort zone. If you're not comfortable, find a safe place to park and wait it out. When you're on the road, when we have bad weather, you need to have all of your focus, all of your concentration, and if you're distracted or you're nervous, you're not going to be safe on the road.
Now, what type of issues arise with like load delays and things like that if somebody doesn't feel comfortable? Is that something that's pretty easy with the relationships that the company has built over the years, or is that something that kind of has like a cascading effect and gets harder and harder the more that it happens?
No, as few times as it does happen, if customers understand that this weather does come up out of nowhere sometimes. Sometimes things are unavoidable, and I would hope that they would appreciate us being safe rather than risking someone's life to just get something on time.
Absolutely. And it's such good advice that you say, like, only drive within your comfort zone. I've had a few drivers tell me that is something that they live and breathe by, because if you don't trust your gut, it can go wrong so fast on you.
Exactly. So I couldn't agree more.
What measures can drivers take to make sure they're prepared for inclement weather should it show up out of nowhere, Dean?
Well, most stuff is, even though you don't know that it's coming, plan for these events that could happen. More so wintertime, you make sure you have enough fuel on the truck if you have to park for a period of time that you can idle the truck. Make sure you have plenty of blankets. Make sure you have food and water in the truck. Make sure if you do have to park, you have all the necessities to keep you warm and keep you fed.
Absolutely. And what about things like tire chains? Do drivers pack shovels along with them in their box? Like, what kind of tools could they bring along to help this?
Definitely. Chains or something in some states like Colorado, they're required, but having good tire chains is a must. Making sure you have something to brush and clean the windows off. Having a clean windows is extremely important. I would also suggest a simple bag of oil dry or kitty litter is good to have in the side box in case you're just stuck on a spot and you need a little help with traction. You may be able to save yourself the time of putting on chains by just putting down some oil dry and getting some traction to get moving.
There you go. And I know that there's a lot of drivers out there that have already got a cat on board with them. So just stock up an extra bag of kitty litter. You should be fine.
Yep.
Do you have any examples, Dean, of a driver that maybe pushed the limits too far during inclement weather and caused themselves an issue?
Nothing specifically, jumps out at me. But you read news reports, you see things, videos on YouTube where maybe somebody's driving along and gets caught in a whiteout condition, and before you know it, you have no visibility. Then all of a sudden the visibility clears up and there's cars in front of you and you don't have any time to react. You go to YouTube and there's endless amounts of videos that display when these things happen.
Yeah, that's one thing that's fun about YouTube. You can pretty much scare yourself as bad as you want to be scared with YouTube.
Exactly.
I was telling Eve when I had her on earlier in the episode about a time that I actually was just driving my little Ford Focus and went completely snowblind, and I made the executive decision, which I would not recommend, to pull over, or I thought pull over. I was actually parked across 2 lanes of traffic on a highway. Fortunately, it was late enough and snowy enough that nobody else was dumb enough to be out there. But we know visibility is crucial, and if you can't see or feel where you're driving, maybe ride rumble strips or something like that, you can get yourself in a lot of trouble really fast.
Exactly. It don't take much time at all for something to change, to go from bad to worse, as they say.
Have you ever had anything happen like that when you were behind the wheel traveling or anything, where inclement weather snuck up on you and kind of shocked you into being worried about it in the future?
I did. I was traveling one time between Lincoln and Omaha, and interstate was closed. I was on it as it closed, and it was pretty much whiteout conditions. And the best thing that I could do is I just kind of slowed down and kind of felt my way along the rumble strips like you mentioned. And I was able to see far enough ahead. I could see the reflector posts on the side of the road. So I just kind of kept aiming for the next one and just trying to stay on the road that way. It definitely changed my outlook and made me think twice about going out when the weather's bad.
Yeah, right. Especially if you're navigating the highway like you're a ship in the fog, things have gone bad for you. So, thank God for those reflectors and those rumble strips, man. Well, listen, Dean, you've given us some great stuff here. I think safety should always be at the forefront of every driver's mind, and I know they keep it there. So really appreciate you coming on and offering some insight on how drivers can be prepared. And hopefully we won't have to deal with this for a while, because we're having this episode. We're really bringing this to the front of mind awareness of drivers. I feel like this is kind of a time of year where you can get lax about things like that. But with Canada being on fire and the West Coast bound to catch fire sometime this summer, visibility is always going to be a concern. And as we learned in a weather update, man, there are some very, very serious things going on, even in the dead of summer, as far as the National Weather Service is concerned. So thank you so much for your time today, Dean, and we'll get you back on the podcast soon, I'm sure.
You bet. Thank you very much.
Yep. Take care. Okay, so one big part of doing what I do for a living is a little bit of self-reflection. You have to look back on these old episodes, make sure that you sound good, make sure you're saying the things that you want to say, and your thoughts are well thought out. And trust me, you spend about a week in the 6 inches between my ears, what you'll realize is that that's not always the case. And during one of our writers' rooms here for the podcast recently, some of my producers and the people that work with me on the podcast let me know that segments had been a little bit dark. We did have the Kids at Play recurring segment, where we had a supercut in that segment of just kids having accidents with truck drivers, getting hit by trucks. We talked last week about fifth wheels and trailers, camp trailers, motorhomes, and how often they're involved in accidents with commercial vehicles. And listen, it's just been kind of dark. And everybody let me know, is there any way we could lighten it up a little bit? So our segment this week is still going to be called OK Fifth Wheel, but I'm bringing you something a little bit different. Now, we did have some ideas for this segment that were rejected. As we like to say here in the entertainment industry, these ideas hit the cutting room floor. I think that these ideas are I think maybe I have an emo alter ego. And when I say emo, I'm kind of referencing that dark music, it's short for emotional. And I think that maybe I was just being Emo Marcus when I came up with these. But here's just a sampling of what hit the cutting room floor. We've got 22 terrific T-bones. That segment did not have to do with steak. Another one that hit the cutting room floor here is cyclists and how far they fly when you hit them. That one really wasn't well received. And finally, one that I called Wrong Way Drivers, a real-life arcade game. Yeah, none of those made it. But fortunately for you, you don't have to hear any of them. That all happened in my head. But we did come up with something that was a little bit more fun, something that was, I guess, wanted to bring some levity to the segment. Let's put it that way. So let's get to our segment this week.
Death of a 14-year-old Ryan Hoob, who was killed while riding his bike on Friday. The initial findings in the...
Emo Marcus creeping in on the button board there again. Our segment this week is OK Fifth Wheel. Don't worry, I'm not going to put you through the kids getting hit by cars supercut again. What I've decided to bring you this week is a collection of cities that are frequently mispronounced. You as professional drivers are out there seeing all the great cities and towns in America, and let's just say that a lot of them are a mouthful. I went over to vroomvroomvroom.com. Apparently they compare car rentals. I don't know what this website is. However, what I will tell you is that they put together this awesome little article on like 25 of the most mispronounced city names in the country. And I want to go through some of those with you right now. You could go over to Aquabogie, New York, and get corrected immediately by a New Yorker. That is pronounced Aquabog. Aquabog. Boise, Idaho. I guess people like to say Boise, Idaho. I didn't know that until I saw a band that had never been to Boise, Idaho before, and they called it Boise, Idaho. Actually, to be fair, they said Boise, Iowa, because they didn't even know what state they were in. But it is Boise. A lot of people will say Boise. No, it's Boise. Trust me, I've lived close to it for my entire life. Let's move on down the list here to Boerne, Texas. This one's always thrown me off. Boerne, which is not pronounced that. It's pronounced Bernie, like Bernie Sanders. Boerne is how this is spelled, but Texans will let you know it's Bernie, Texas. Moving down the list, there's a city in California called La Jolla. But that's definitely not how it's pronounced. This is La Jolla. Found this out the hard way in college when I was sniffing after a female from La Jolla, California. She was very unimpressed with me, as most of them are. How about Patchagoo, New York? That's how I would say it, Patchagoo. It's actually Patchhog, spelled Patchogue. I don't know. There's a lot of New York on this list, and I'm just thinking, look, New York, I know that you were like the first big city, and you were, you had a lot of people in your state, but you got wild with some of your city names, and it's evidenced on this list. How about this one? Puyallup, Washington. It's actually Puyallup is how we pronounce that. That is a Native American name. Puyallup. I've never had problems with this one, but I've also never heard anybody that's not from this region of the country pronounce it right on the first try. This one's in Michigan. Sault Ste. Marie, and the STE is punctuated, so I'm assuming that's Saint. Salt spelled Sault. STE.Marie. This is Sault Marie. It sounds French to me. I don't know what the hell's going on in Michigan. They got all these lakes and some weird names. Moving on, this one actually came directly from producer Mike, our audio ninja. He recommended that we bring up Skaneateles, New York. That is a mouthful, and it is not pronounced anything like the way that it is spelled. How it's spelled is how I just butchered it. This is actually Skaneateles, New York. Moving on down the list, we're getting down to some of these. It's like, really? This is even on the list? But when you get to number 25, you'll understand why they made the list. What I see here is Worcestershire sauce, Massachusetts. And the sauce part isn't part of the name. The name of the town is spelled Worcester. So Worcester is what I hear. No. All those fine people in Massachusetts will tell you this is Worcester, Massachusetts. So I would like to play this sound effect one more time for my pronunciation of all of these names incorrectly. That's our OK Fifth Wheel segment. And yeah, good luck with those. I'm sure as professional drivers, you know how to pronounce them much better than I do. Sorry for assaulting your ears with so many mispronunciations. But let's get back to the good stuff. Now that Emo Marcus has left the building. It's time to check in with Deanna over from Driver Advocacy, and she joins us right now on the H&M Trucking podcast. Deanna, I ask you every week, how's it going?
It's going good. You know, it's getting hot here, but I got some good tips today to keep some drivers cool. So
very nice. Yes, it is. It's hot all over the place. Summer is just right around the corner, and that might be, if you're sitting there listening to this wondering why it sounds like I'm a prize fighter with a broken nose, it's because I am an allergy sufferer, and my right nostril is completely sealed off right now. It's like an Egyptian tomb in there. There's nothing getting in, nothing getting out. So I apologize for the way that I sound, but I'm excited because sometimes up here in the studio that I record in, it gets very hot, like so hot that I'll walk downstairs and be like, I'm a little chilly at where I normally keep the house. Like my body is acclimating and I'm over it. So let's just get to this.
And now Deanna's quick stop tip of the week on the H&M Trucking podcast.
The floor is yours, my friend.
awesome. Okay, so some things that I've done in the past to help. My mom was she had all these like mom hacks, I feel like. And keeping cool was one of the things that, when you're in the South and it gets very hot and very humid, you have to find fun ways to stay cool. So I can imagine being in a hot cab in a truck, not so fun during the middle of summer. So like June 21st of this month, next week, is the official day of summer. So it's gonna get hot. And so I think one of the main tips was she always freeze water bottles. So like the water would stay cool all day, and you could use it for different things. Like you could use it for like if you needed wet wipes to make a wet wipe really fast, or if you just needed, cool water to like run down your face or like put it on your neck. I know now they have Yetis now that keep cool for like 24 hours. There's something ridiculous like that.
Whatever with all that science bullshit. The frozen water bottle is a winner from the word go. I keep one in my golf bag to keep my beers cold, and then as it melts, I do exactly what you're talking about. Pour it right down the back. Maybe a little sip of some ice cold water, or I'll wet down a towel and put the towel around my neck. There's so many things that you can do with it. Very versatile.
Yeah, absolutely. Another thing you can do is maybe like ice packs. I know that's not like, I'm sure if you're in a truck though, you might be able to put an ice pack on your neck, like while you're running down the road, or like maybe a cold towel.
I might slip it down my pants, to be honest with you. It depends on how hot it is in the cab of that truck.
I know, right? Yeah, I'm sure it gets really hot. I can only imagine. But then you have to think about like keeping your animals cool as well. So you have to keep it at a certain temperature. Another thing I think was shade, putting a shade up when you're at a rest stop or, going to grab something to eat, whatever you're doing. That actually keeps it 10 degrees cooler in your car.
That's amazing. You wouldn't expect it to be that much.
Yeah,
that's big.
That's huge. That's huge when it, sometimes it can get as hot as like 150 degrees inside your car. So that in itself saved me during the summer because I have leather seats, and let me tell you, I'm not trying to burn my thighs off when I stuck in the car,
Yeah, it's hard to have hot girl summer with 3rd degree burns, I hear.
For real. And it is a real thing. And then, like, and you go grab the seatbelt and you're like, oh my God, I just want to go inside because everything's burning me and I doesn't want to no. But that's another good thing is having a shade. I think just
and sorry to interrupt you here, but that the shade can also double. Obviously, we've talked about, privacy and protecting yourself on the road. The shade was also one of the tips for that, where, that privacy, people not being able to look in your windows and see what's in the vehicle, especially if it's a pet or something that you're very fond of and don't want to see go away. Those shields are great. And to your point about 150 degrees, back during my radio days, I actually did a little experiment where I took a pan of just regular, Toll House cookie dough and put it in the dash of my car in direct sunlight, and they were gooey, but they were cooked. That's what I want you to know. I baked cookies in the cab of my car with zero electricity, just the heat from the sun. It's way too hot for a pet. Actually, I've heard from experts say that if it's any hotter than like 75 degrees, you don't want to leave your pet in the car because the temperature jumps up so fast and it gets so hot in there. So you really have to be careful.
Yeah, and I think pets don't regulate the heat as well as we do. They have fur, and they can't really sweat. They can just only pant. So, it's important to kind of make sure that you're keeping it cool for them too. That's a great point. And the shade is a multi-purpose. There's so many good things about that. But yeah, those are some of the tips that I had this week about just staying cool. And obviously, check your AC if you can. Have the shop, take a look and make sure it's recharged all the way and it's not going to go out on you in the middle of the summer, August heat. That might be something that you can just do due diligence and check and make sure your oil is good when you're at stops, because that's the lubricant that helps keep the truck
whole thing
cool.
go.
Yeah. So.
Yep. And another thing that, if you're an allergy sufferer like me and you're up here in the Great Pacific Northwest or in the Willamette Valley where I reside, you're feeling it. Check your cabin air filter. That will help too. It will help keep the air in the cabin a little bit cleaner if you got a new one in there. But great stuff today. Stay cool. Shove a frozen water bottle down your pants. Get yourself an ice pack and a privacy shade, and make sure to keep track of those pets because they will heat up.
And now Deanna's quick stop tip of the week on the H&M Trucking Podcast.
I have this sneaking feeling that the production team that creates all of the YouTube promos and everything is going to have a lot of fun with me talking about shoving ice packs down my pants.
Can only imagine.
And with as good as they are, they could have me shoving anything down my pants by the end of their editing session, Deanna. So I'm glad that you joined me for what could be the end of part of my career today. This was fun.
No, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. H&M's fun.
Yes, they are, and this is going to be. We're already smack in the middle of such a great episode. I really appreciate you stopping by and sharing your time with us. Let the drivers know where they can give you a call to chat with you for the driver advocacy side of things.
Absolutely. So I am Monday through Friday Eastern Time, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. And then I do 3 hours on Sunday, 3 p.m. to 6 p.m.
And those hours have not changed since she started coming on the show. And if you don't believe me, go back and listen to some of our past episodes. There's a lot of great stuff in there from Deanna and her quick stop tip of the week. We'll let you get back to it. Thanks for being here.
Always. Thanks, guys.
That's going to wrap up the interviews of our podcast episode today. And since we were talking about severe weather and wildfires, I thought the best thing to do would be to scour the interwebs and try to find some stories from you professional drivers out there, because you see it, man, and a lot of times it sneaks up on you. You're not even ready for the severe weather that you might just be barreling into head first at 55, 60, 65 miles an hour. Hey, I don't know, if you're out there on I-80, you might be doing 90, but these stories, I guess, illustrate the way that you can just all of a sudden be in a problem area. And first one I've got here is coming from our buddy Warren. He says, I went through 3 tornadoes back to back in the dark on I-80, literally had to lock it down on the side of the road next to another vet trucker. I was fully loaded with a reefer, and those guys were still snatching my trailer, those guys being the tornadoes. Tires were screeching and everything. No damage. I'm grateful, but it changed my life from thinking I can go and run through it all as a trucker since 2003. That's 20 years of experience, and it took 20 years before Warren had an experience that changed his outlook on driving through the worst of the worst. Tom says he got a direct hit from a tornado. He was overloaded and somehow my trailer didn't go over. The trucks going the other way all got flipped. 5 miles down the road, I took another direct hit that started picking up my trailer and set it back down before it flipped. He says it was dark and the noise was unreal. I can't imagine what an overloaded trailer feels like or sounds like when it gets picked up off the ground by Mother Nature and slammed back down. It's like a real WWE move there. Scotty says St. Louis about 3 months ago, winds of about 65 miles an hour, rain, hail, and snow all at the same time. Interstate speeds were about 40 to 50 miles an hour, not including super truckers, with about 20 feet of vision for an hour. If you've never driven in low visibility, which I know all of you have, it is panicky at best. Arie mentioned it just with a street sweeper and how it can make it a very dangerous situation back in our driver profile. Andy says, last year in Iowa, I was at the pilot near Des Moines, pulled the brakes for a 34. First day, an F3 tornado rolled by the next morning. We all woke up to 16 inches of snow. He says, I don't really go back that way much anymore. As a West Virginia boy, I said, F that. And yeah, Andy, F that indeed. Finally, Jonathan says, about 6.5 hours from Coeur d'Alene, Idaho at the TA in Missoula, Montana, I had 150-ish miles all in the snow. There were absolutely no places to park after leaving the chain-up area, so I had to keep rolling. He said I had to follow the rumble strip to stay on the road. That was a long night. Yeah. Anytime you're following the rumble strips, just so you know where you're at, it's probably gone off the rails and might go off the rails further. Be safe out there, drivers. When you can't see the road, when you can't see what's in front of you, that's, I feel like, one of the most dangerous times that you can be a driver. I want to say thank you to Essary for laying down the law today. Big shout out to Arie Visser, who did a great driver interview. We had Deanna from Driver Advocacy on. Don't forget that you can call her whenever you want to and chat with her. And, of course, Dean Edmunds, your safety manager. Always good stuff from Dean. I want to also remind you to like and subscribe and interact with the podcast in every way that you can. When you're on your favorite podcast platform, click the subscribe button. It doesn't matter what platform you're on. They all have one, and that subscribe button makes it so that you know every time we release an episode. And don't forget, we've got new episodes every single Wednesday at 5 a.m. Central Time. That's 3 a.m. over here on the West Coast when my punk ass wakes up to get these episodes out. Not really. I upload them the night before, and it happens without my fingers directly on the keys, which I'm really happy about because 3 a.m., there's some Tuesday nights when I haven't gotten to bed by 3 a.m. Let's be honest with each other here. Like the podcast's Facebook post, that will get them up in your feed so that when they show up on Facebook, they're going to jump into your news feed. Once again, click that subscribe button. And the best thing you can do, share it with your friends. Talk to them about it. Let them know. We've got the H&M Trucking podcast every Wednesday with a new episode talking about all things trucking. That's it for me. Thanks for listening. And as always, stay fresh, cheese bags.
Thank you for listening to the H&M Trucking Podcast. Please leave a review, subscribe, and connect with Marcus over at the H&M Trucking social media channels. And if you're considering a job at H&M, find us at hmtrucking.com. Until next time, stay safe and ahead of the curve drivers.